Our lives could be better. Life doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't. Life does not have to be this way. Every one of our lives could be so much better. And the only reason life is this way and our lives are not better is because this is our habit. This was the lane that most of us were put in, so we just follow that lane. But life could be better. Life could be way better. But because we're so used to the paradigm that we're in, because we're so used to our habits, because we follow the path that our previous generation did and the generation before that, we don't think that life can be better. Y'all, life can be way better. I want to describe the life that I am talking about. Imagine not having to go to work till 10 or 10:30 every single day. Imagine having breakfast with your family. Imagine having time in the morning to feel like a goddamn human. Imagine getting off of work at 2 or 3 o'clock each and every day. You'd have time to do shit before it got dark out. You'd have time to be an adult for a couple hours before it was time to do more responsibilities. You could go out with friends on a weekday. You could go out to dinner on a weekday because you'd be getting off of work at 2 or 3 o'clock and you'd be going in the next day at 9:30 or 10:30. This is called work-life balance. This is the way life could be. We're making way more enough money for it to be this way. You know how much you should be working? You should be working about 12 hours, 16 hours a week. That's what covers your salary. 12 hours or 16 hours a week. All the other time that you work after that, those extra 24, 28 hours, you are making profit for the boss that you're not seeing a dollar of. Our lives could be better. It doesn't have to be like this. But it's so weird. Humans have this crazy little thing inside of them that if life is tough for us, we want to see other people struggle too. Isn't that weird? If life is tough for us, we're not going to say, oh shit, let me fix this so nobody has to go through that. We don't say that, do we? We go, damn, well, if I did it, so can you. No, I don't want that for my kids. Not at all. I want to say, I want to make it so that nobody has to go through that. I want to make it so that everybody lives up to their fullest potential. Because this whole thing where putting people through trauma just to live their life, that doesn't actually make more productive adults. And shouldn't that sort of be the point that we work back from? How productive do we want our society to be? Well, you can only be so productive when people that are as smart as Einstein end up working in factories their whole lives because they didn't have access to the education that they needed. We can only be so efficient when people can't focus on their jobs because they can't eat, because they don't have anywhere to sleep that's safe and secure at night. So we need to envision a new way forward. And what we have to stop doing is saying that, oh, this is the final, this is the end of it. It's not at all. It's not the final stages of descent. This is the time we should be happiness. This is the time when enough people realize what the problem is for all of us to do something about it. That's what this is. Yes, it's going to require bravery because we are standing in the face of something that is scary. But I know for a fact we can win. It's not a question of if we win. It's when and by how much. Because as I said before, this is not the first time this has happened in history. We just need to pull out the same playbook. And let me tell you this, whenever this has happened, it has happened tons of times throughout history. The hard workers always won. The bosses didn't win because there is way more of us than there are them. The hard workers always won. Why? Because think of the economy as a car that we all need to push. Well, that car only moves forward when we push it. Those ultra wealthy assholes who are sitting in the car trying to drive it, they are never going to get out. They've got too of a dainty constitution. No, we're the ones that do the work. Our grit, our sweat, our hard work. That's nowhere that you see that more clearly than on a construction site. Those mother effers who have all the skills, who are doing all the hard work, they get paid the least. Meanwhile, the prick that's sitting in his truck makes 10 times more than everybody else who's actually doing the job on the job site. Make it make sense. And that's why the average salary and the average cost of living is pretty much the same, because they know that they can screw us over every chance they get. And because we don't have any savings, they have total control over us. We should all have 3 months or 6 months of savings, not because we're greedy, but because that's the only thing that gives us any leverage to say no. That's the only thing that gives us freedom of choice, is if we have money. So if you don't have money, you don't have freedom of choice. If you don't have freedom, then you're not even free, because you can't choose things. So that's where we've got to understand that the main issue is the fact that the ultra wealthy have more than their fair share. They have been greedy for decades. That made sure that we never had any savings. And if we don't have any savings, we can't say no. We literally can't do anything if we don't have any savings. We can't make choices. We can't walk out of the corporate option and go buy the local option because it's more expensive. The corporate option makes sure to be cheaper than the local option, so that it comes down to a financial choice rather than a moral argument. And that's what we have to understand, is that nobody is going to spend more money at a local store because of a moral argument. We have to make it work more efficiently for everyone. We have to either make it fun or make it exciting or make it easy, so that people aren't feeling like they're doing a chore, so they don't feel like they're doing extra. Because the only reason we aren't doing better right now isn't because people don't care. It's because we don't have any other options rather than corporate options. So it's like none of us want to shop at Walmart, but that's pretty much the only option that we have in a lot of cases. None of us want to shop at the big grocery stores, but that's pretty much the only option that we have, is to go to the corporate grocery store, because the interconnectedness that we need to be able to go to the local farmer is not there. Because when the local grocery stores actually worked, or when the corporate grocery stores actually cared about us, when they were actually held accountable, they did work all right. But it was as soon as that grocery store started seeing themselves as the owners of our food versus the stewards. They should just be happy that we allowed them to sell us food. But what they did is they got greedy, and they didn't say, oh, we're the stewards, we should make sure that everybody is able to afford healthy food. No, not at all. They said, we own this food, we're going to do whatever the heck we want with it, right? That's almost like saying, we own this oxygen. We own this oxygen, and we're going to sell it back to you. What? You own our oxygen? I mean, it's almost just as silly as saying that we own food, because it's the community that has that land, right? It's the community that are the farmers that do the work. It's the community that buys the products. So that business relies on the community. Yeah, Jordy, what we really talk about is those different words are also made to split us up. I really don't have a label. I'm like a business owner, but I also talk about this. I just think that corporations own everything. Corporations control everything. But because that corporation is not a part of the fabric of my community or of your community, and because we've set up our society to incentivize these corporations in the short term and screw us the F over in the long term, it just doesn't work out for us because the incentives are all wrong. These corporations control our food, but they're incentivized to screw us over short term so that they can make money. They're not incentivized to make sure that we're able to grow our food for the next 50 years. That would be the smart thing in a society. Incentivize someone that they'll have food for the next 50 years. Instead, they incentivize one person to make so much money at the expense of the rest of us. It just doesn't make sense. And then health insurance is the easiest to see that it's insane. We pay this organization to take care of us when we get sick. Yet when we get sick and we need to use the products that we've paid this organization for, they don't pay us about it, right? They don't care about what we've paid in. They only care about what their profit margin is, right? And that's where this really is. Theory. No, thank you. And I think what we're saying is that the majority of people, if you go up to them and say, I encourage you to read about the theory of value in Marx's description of capitalism, that you're going to lose everybody. How about we say the same thing, but we say it like this? Hey, these corporations don't care about you, but they control everything. Let's buy our food from a local farmer instead of a corporation, because that local farmer cares about us. That's it. Well, and it's the same thing of going into a public square and saying, the system's wrong, come with me and let's fix the system, versus saying, hey, everybody, corporations don't care about us. Because of corporations don't care about us, we're going to stop buying our food from them. So if you want to join the group of us that are going to buy our eggs from a farmer instead, come sign up right here. Which one do you think you're going to have more people respond to? I know the answer. We all know the answer. This is like trying to argue with somebody that a car is better than a horse. But the person that you're arguing with has never seen a car. They can't even fathom what a car is. So you're sitting there arguing with them, a car is better than a horse, but they're only choosing a horse because that's what they grew up with. That's the habits that they know. They're just not familiar with anything else. So what we got to stop doing is stop arguing that the car is better than the horse, and we just need to build the dang car. We have to show it to people, because they will always be a part of this system. Wes, you can give them as many books as you want. But when they grew up in this system and they've been told by every single person, this system's great, don't you dare say anything about it. When they have been seen in every single billboard and everywhere that this is the problem, right? Well, no, Wes, we didn't mean to pick on you at all. It just is... that is one of the tools that people use to divide us. So I think when we see that, we just get a little nervous, because it's like a lot of times people come in and are like, label yourself, label yourself, label yourself. And we're like, whoa, why does it matter to you so much? First of all, we think that the labeling of yourself is one of the things that causes the division. But that's really the problem, is I think that as soon as you say those words, contextualize the sentiment in the broader structure of capitalism, you're just going to lose the majority of people. That's it. Because I think I'm saying the same thing when I say corporations don't care about you. That's contextualizing the sentiment in the broader structure of capitalism. It just is doing it in a simpler way, right? So that's really what it is it's I think we're saying the exact same thing, Wes. That's where I have nothing to say to you. There you go. Well, that's where we're saying, I think we're saying the exact same thing, is where I am all the way with you on that, because language is so important. But I think it is able to see people. No, I hear you, Wes. You're good. That's where I just don't like to, it just is hard. We feel bad because it just is one of those things that we're guarded against, like Nate coming in and people with their defeatist views. So no, we're absolutely not. And you feeling that way, Nate, actually contributes to the people that want us to feel like we're cooked. Half of the strategy of this administration has been to pepper you so much with information that you get overloaded and you go, whoa. So every time you go, we're cooked, you're actually playing right into Donald Trump's hands. So stop doing it. What we can do is we can recognize that, y'all, why are people so down about this? Like, we didn't live in a world for like thousands of years before there were multinational corporations. We lived for a long time without multinational corporations. No, you're allowed to be Wes. At age 23, you can be. I've recently recognized that all of my teenage angst came from the very same fact that I looked at this economy and I was like, shit, why can't it be like my parents got or the grandparents got, where one person can work one job and the whole family can be taken care of? That's all that happened, Phil. That's what I was trying to say, was I think we were a little bit more on but that's really what it is, Marie, is we believe that all of these words, like working class power, has always been one of the tenets of the American flag. It's just that they brainwashed us and used propaganda to make that not the case anymore. They ripped on unions for 50 years. They said that you can only do it alone, when it's so funny because every single day you wake up and you get out of a bed that you didn't make. You get out of sheets that you didn't weave. You live in a house that you didn't build. You go down and you drink coffee from halfway across the world that somebody else brought to you. Yet those very same people who then get in the car that they didn't build and use the gasoline that they didn't curate, they'll say that I don't need anybody. You got to take care of yourself. It's all about independence. As they literally live in a house where they made nothing. Every job depends on every other job. That's it. Every job depends on every other job. And it's really just simple because we have been told from the very beginning, because the hard part is that people think that life is competitive. That's really it is. They hit us with this competitive mindset so that we get stuck in individualism, because individualism makes us feel good, right? Individualism makes us feel good because that's really what our nature wants. Like, we are by nature, we are a little bit tribal, and we think that we are the center of the universe, right? So then when there's a problem going on, it must be what we do is we also try to scapegoat. We've got a major religion based off of scapegoating. And that is a very human nature. So it's like, it is human nature to be greedy and take and stockpile. There's a reason that like we hoard, because our brains are like, no more in case of emergency. So it's those people up top. It was human nature to be greedy. Well, we had guardrails against that greed. But then this is what happens in every society. When the ultra wealthy, when the greedy people get so much money and so much power that they can get rid of the guardrails against greed, that's when things start going off the rails. And that's exactly what happened. The ultra wealthy got so much money and power that they were able to remove the guardrail against greed. Come on, Vance, you know me better than that. Violence is never the answer, and it won't even produce long-term change. I don't do anything unless we win. Yes, Vance, that will make us feel good, but that will not help us win long-term. Because I'm not going to trust anybody that does that to another human being. That's what we're trying to get away from. It's that kind of language that we're trying to get away from. I love all people. Yes, even the ones that are assholes, because generally I believe that if they were born and they had all the love that they should have gotten and they were able to live up to their fullest potential, I believe somebody only hates because they were taught to. That somebody only hates because they weren't allowed to live up to their fullest potential. Trainer Karen, I love you. That is one of my favorite. The only way we can show our independence is through interdependence. Essentially, 1% of people, just 3 million Americans, were able to manipulate us because they work together in cooperation to make us think that life is competitive. And it was very difficult. Somebody asked on Instagram. So follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube. Please get over to YouTube and follow us. They said, what happened to the guardrails? How did we not see it? Well, the economy is generally something that the ultra wealthy take over, right? Vance, you're getting harder for it to allow you in here because that is just not the case. If you read like any literature, violent versus non-violent, like violent has like a much lower chance of succeeding and a much lower chance of lasting. It's like both lower chance of success and lower chance of lasting because you've ruined all your credibility when you do that. You want to lead after doing that to people? Who would follow that? Well, Wes, it's really not that difficult. So, okay, well then, I didn't know that. So, yeah, that's where I don't take kindly to that. I don't take lightly to that because what that is doing is that person is letting their emotions overcome what needs to happen, right? If somebody says, I don't care what is going to happen. I don't care what we need to do to win. This is what I want to do. I'm not going to take that anymore because I don't care what we want. I would like to win. I would like for this not to be our lives anymore. We can live a better life. We started off this live saying, look, we shouldn't be going into work till like 10 or 10:30. We should be done at work at 2:30. Yes, Katros. But to answer your question again, what happened was they took over the economy. The economy has always been dominated by the ultra wealthy. It's just that there were two other levers of power that kept the people in the economy honest. We had the media. So the media would call those fuckers out if they were running a company that was making $12 billion a year, but they had millions of employees on medical assistance. Walmart, Amazon. And then if we had politicians that actually worked for the people instead of for profit, then they would help us to fix this imbalance. So it was not only the ultra wealthy usually take over the economy, but through using the media and the politicians, we get to take back some of that power. Oh yeah, it's got to be from that lens, Cat Ross, because I'm not going to do anything that doesn't lead to the most, like to victory. Like I don't want this to be emotional at all, because when we get desperate, when we get emotional, we don't do what the situation calls for. We do what makes us feel good. We do what allows us to get rid of our visceral feelings. And that's really the problem, because we just need to walk backwards from what the issue is. So the issue is that politicians do not listen to us anymore. It's like we're not even there. Well, why is it that politicians don't listen to the people anymore? Well, because corporations are the ones that fund their campaign. Corporations that fund their campaign. So they're not beholden to us anymore because we're not the ones that decide whether they get elected or not. The corporations are the ones that decide whether they get elected. So politicians are beholden to the corporations. So rather than getting the politicians to notice us, we need to get the corporations to notice us. But how do we do that, especially when the media is working against us instead of for us? Well, we speak the only language that the corporations speak. What language do the corporations speak? Frickin' money. Money is the only language that they speak. We got to hit them in their wallets. But the only way that we can actually hurt these corporations is through not participating. Because what we need to say to Walmart is, fuck you, Walmart. We're not coming back until you fix it, until you offer better salaries, until your employees aren't actively jerks to us. we are not coming back. What we say is to the health insurance companies, we are not paying our health insurance until you fix it. But right now, they would call us out because not enough of us have enough security to be able to stand up, because we depend on the very same people that we are protesting against for what we need to live. To put it like this, 10 million of us could go protest tomorrow and it wouldn't do shit. 10 million protesting and it wouldn't do shit. Because they know that in 2 days, half of us will have to go back to work to afford food. And they know that in 4 days, the other half would have to go back to work to afford housing. It wouldn't utopia. No, it doesn't. Because we have been told that power lies in politicians, and that if we can only protest long enough, that the politicians will listen. But the politicians only listen to us when we are the ones that paid that. Just listen to what I'm saying. Politicians listen to the citizens when we were the ones that paid for their campaign finance. When we financed their campaign, politicians listened to us because we were the people that decided whether they got that job or not. Well, now politicians only listen to the same people, the people that pay for their campaigns. But utopia, who are the people that pay for the politicians' campaigns? That would be my only question to you. Who are the people that pay for the politicians' campaigns? And wouldn't the politician work for the people that paid to get them elected? That's it. So, RB, it's okay. They didn't come in. They came in good faith. I was saying something a little controversial, but that is the truth. People think that power is in protesting. Then why didn't anything change after No Kings? Didn't we almost hit 3.5%? I just don't think power is in protesting. Power is in the people that control your food, y'all. Because think, you can go out and protest, and then if CVS can go, anyone that is protesting will not be allowed to get their medicine tomorrow. Anyone that is protesting will not be allowed into our pharmacies to get your medicine. Oh, and if you have any family members on insulin, if you don't go home, those family members can't get their insulin either. So utopia, who has power? The protesters or the corporations? The corporations can say, everybody that is protesting is not allowed into a grocery store for the next year. Everybody that is protesting is not allowed to buy one of our cars. Everybody that is protesting is not allowed to be on the internet. Who has the control? The protesters? There you go, Wes. So in order to have it AI face recognition? Absolutely. John and Wes, you got it. So here's what I'm thinking. So this is where I thought, all right, the reason protests don't work is because they're too short. They're too short because we don't control what we need to live. What if every single community, rather than giving up control over what they need to live to corporations, what if they had made it so that those corporations were just stewards of the food and not owners? What if we made it so that those corporations were just stewards of our healthcare and they didn't own it? So that at any time when the corporation does something that is against that community, that they could take back. Wes, I believe we need a combination of the Montgomery bus boycott and the Rainbow Coalition. Because what that is that the Montgomery bus boycott consistently hitting them in their pockets over time. And then the Rainbow Coalition was about building alternative systems that served people and not profit. So if we do those two things, we will be fine. Because what we need, actually, I'm probably making a good bit of money right now. All 6 of my locations are open and all 30 employees are at work. So this is what made me realize that owners rely on their employees, because I get to spend all day with my family because I'm not worried about my employees doing anything wrong. because I pay so much money to our employees. I know that they care deeply about their job. I am unemployed, I guess. Is employing yourself unemployed? But that's where, y'all, when you come at me, I appreciate it. Attack my ideas, and I might get offended because my ideas are what I care about. Come at me, and I know I'm winning. I don't have any hair. You think I'm sitting here and I'm unemployed, which is funny because that actually makes me feel good when you come in, because you're coming to hit me with an argument that you think is, oh, let's get them. And really, I'm like almost waiting for you to do that, because then I can pull out my strongest weapon and being like, unemployed, I have 30 employees. The reason I'm so passionate about this is because I love my team so much, because my team is what gives me the ability to spend time with my family. And then I said to myself, well, why don't other corporations care this much about their employees? Because I know it used to be that if you made money for the company wanted to take care of you, not because they're this good people, because the company wanted to make more money. Oh, I know. It's fine. And that's where I stopped talking to him, because that person doesn't matter. Wes, you're the ones that matter. RB, US, Joe Poe, I appreciate y'all. People that still have their head stuck in the sand, we don't need to talk to them, right? It does not matter what Fred Mercury thinks, Fred McMurray thinks. It doesn't matter. Fred thinks that a horse is better than a car. But I'm not mad at Fred for thinking a horse is better than a car. Fred has just never seen a car. And Fred grew up on horses. Fred's parents are really passionate about staying with horses. So that's all Fred has ever known, is that, hey, this system, even though it clearly doesn't work for you, this is the system that matters. So if we are trying to argue with Fred that a car is better than a horse, Fred won't be able to see that. Fred's been inundated with the fact that, Jalen, what's up? Good to have you again. Fred's been inundated with the fact that horses are better than cars. So when we sit here and we call them evil for believing that horses are better than cars, not because they're bad or evil or stupid, but because they don't know any different. Fred doesn't know that I hate Democrats probably more than I hate Republicans. I don't hate either of them, that I loathe them, that I am deeply disappointed in them. So it's so funny. It's like people get in this mindset that, oh, if they're not on my team, they must be on the other team. But then when something like this group comes along and we're going, no, the teams are the problem. The teams are the problem. It's the fact that they make you think that one of them cares about you. That is so silly. Corporations don't care about you, particularly political corporations that do nothing but hang on to power. Jalen, I'm so glad you're here. Wes, I'm so glad you're here. This is why we got the Discord, right? So Wes, if you could join that Discord for me. Anybody else that is feeling this, please join the Discord. This is where we talk nationally. This is where we recognize the problem. This is where we move people from recognition to what can you do about it? No, it's that you want it to be obvious. I really don't like people on the left. I don't even like people that call themselves leftists. Not that that's a bad thing, but because they're so stringent on the purity tests. That's it. And I think people on the right are the same exact wrapped up in their feelings too. And I think that neither of them, it's their fault. I could really care less as long as they say, let's just put our shit aside and fix the problem. That's what the thing is. So it's basically like this. We are being attacked by a bunch of raiders. But we are so dead set on fighting each other that the raiders are getting through the front gate, but we can't stop fighting. And I just think it's stupid that we can't stop fighting. Put another way, we need to build a highway. So many of us think that there is a problem, think that there is an issue. Man, baby, I've just been watching Last of Us. So many of us think that there's a problem, think that there's an issue. I know, Jopo. Jopo would love for you to hop into the Discord too. There you go, RBUS. Thank you. I had not thought through my analogy yet. And then what those do is those raiders are like, it's not us, right? No, so I would call myself a progressive. I would just say that progressives and leftists are very different. I just want society to move forward. So progress. I wish I could not. I guess a localist is what I would really say. A localist. And Josh, it's not hate. It's frustrated with, because we should be more about togetherness than, because I just look at it as it's like one side is like, oh, you're talking like this, you must be that. And the other side is like, define what you are. Yeah, I just hate the purity test. That's all it really is. That you could agree on 9 out of 10 things, but because you don't agree with this or don't agree with that, or just this one little thing. There's one. I've had people come in and be like, so you're this, so you're this. And I'm like, I'm not that. Or they want me to call out, they want me to go, capitalism is wrong. Where I'm just like, whoa, if you listen to what I'm saying, maybe I'm saying that unfettered greed, which is a problem of capitalism, is wrong, but they want me to use their words. But then I'm like, yo, I'm not going to use like those exact words. If you listen to what I'm saying, that's essentially what I'm saying. But if you use those, no, we have to be honest to the cause. You have to use, and I'm just like, whoa, this purity test that you are laying on this group that we're creating, you're basically saying, I'm more important than anybody here. And in order for me to be a part of this group, you must do this. And that's what frustrates me. And that's almost why people on the other side, it's like, at least you don't get that pretentiousness. At least you don't get that smell your own farts. So, well, that's where maybe it's who that you're around the most. Yeah, I'm with you. I hear that. I see that, man, baby. But that's where maybe it's both sides. And it's just, it's that on the other side, people should agree that like greed is the problem, right? Well, and that's what it is, Wes. And then my argument is, but if we're going to get the majority of people, we just need better branding. Like if you hear what I'm saying, I think I'm really good at saying what it means without scaring people. Like literally saying corporations don't care about you. Well, corporations is what the natural conclusion of what late stage capitalism is. So if you like don't need it to be said out loud, if you don't need to be validated, I am saying the correct thing. That, hey, it's not going to be any one system that fixes this. It's not going to be, basically they divide us between red and blue, Democrats and Republicans. But then if we believe the same thing, then they divide us off of socialist, capitalist, or communist, right? And it's, which one of these is this person? Ooh, which one of these is this person? And then if you like get through that, it just keeps going and going. But that's really what it is, Wes. I looked at everything that MAGA did and said, damn, the anger that they stoked was real. The anger that they stoked was real. And I even think the anger was justified. Those corporations took more than their fair share. They screwed us over, and people were pissed. But what MAGA did is MAGA said, it's those immigrants over there. See those brown and black people? It's them. Oh, it's those other people that think differently than you. See the person on the blue team over there? It's them. And they took what was a legitimate grievance, the fact that the majority of Americans do not have enough money, and they lied about what the problem is, and they turned that fear into anger, and they turned that anger into hate. So that's really what the problem is that both sides are the issue. They want us fighting about one side or the other, because if we are fighting about left versus right, we never focus on what the actual issue is. And the actual issue is the greed from the people up top, that 1% of Americans have as much as 90% of us. Y'all, I can't stress enough how much that is the problem. 1% of Americans have as much as 90% of us. That is like if America was 10 people that made 10 slices of bread, that's one person taking 5 slices. Y'all, if you made 10 pieces of bread with 10 other people, and then one motherfucker came in and took 5 slices, that's why they don't let us see it. Because if we could see it, we would fix it, right? We would do something about it. And that's where it's the 3 pieces: the economy, the media, the politics, right? Because corporations do not care about you, but corporations control everything that you need to live. And if you are not intelligent enough to see why a corporation that is motivated by profit over people is bad, then you don't have to be here. I'm not trying to convince you. Why do people always come in here and think that we're trying to convince them? If you don't agree, maybe this space isn't for you. That's where, Wes, I'm not selling this. What I'm saying is, hey, I'm sick of buying my food from the corporate grocery store. 100 of us already got together, and we're going to buy eggs from this farmer. Would you be down for that? I don't have to change a single red hat's mind. Almost everyone will say yes. Hey, we're really sick of buying our clothes from this freaking asshole corporation. There's this local group that's selling clothes anyway. You want to get our clothes from there instead? Hey, health insurance companies, they are dicks. I actually talked to this doctor, and they said that if they can get 100 of us to pay him $50 a month, that he'll see all of us. It's called direct primary care, right? Yeah, John, no politicians matter. Let's see. Trump doesn't care about us. Biden didn't care about us. Trump didn't care about us. Obama didn't care about us. Bush didn't care about us. Clinton didn't care about us. What's your point? Why do you think so you know that one of the political parties doesn't care about you, but then you think the other one does? That's always so strange to me. So you know, one political party does not care about me. They are against me all the time. But that other one, man, they really care. What? Shouldn't it be like one or both? Yeah, they care about power. They care about money. But that's why it's so funny when people say, oh, that political corporation, they only care about money and power. But that other political corporation, they care about me. They don't just care about money and power. They care about me. You know what I call that? I call that a sucker. Right? If you've got 2 cops and one cop is coming at you And he's like, you asshole, da da da. And the other cop's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Da da da. Well, I guess that's a bad example. Well, they're both cops. Neither of them care about you. They're just trying to get something from you. So I agree that the midterm election matters, but long term, I don't think that votes matter because we could vote in a whole new administration and Monsanto would still be controlling all of our seeds. There'd still only be two options for general stores. McDonald's would still be all across America. Jopo, what you do is you take money out of politics on the local level. That's all that needs to happen is, the voting on the local level. And we slowly take money out of politics there. You pass ordinances so that people cannot get any outside funding. Basically, you use state law to push away the ability that Citizens United has to funnel dark money. It's difficult. So that's where you're right, Wes, but that's where we are almost forming two parallel groups to go with our strategy, right? It's almost like the now and the later. You're right, Wes. That's where my mind goes to. I want to build the structure that will lead to long-term change. So I am simply not as passionate about choosing one corporate political party over another corporate political party. But I do very much agree that it matters immensely which one is in charge. But this is why I guess it's a group. Oh, I'm sorry, James. I was in the middle of a thought and I forgot. But this is why it's a group, because what you're saying isn't wrong. It's just not my specialty. Japo, would love for you to hop in the Discord if you can. So that's where we're almost putting together. So this is where we have two different teams within the organization. We call it the pressure campaign and Wes, my whole idea for a long time, I call it Tea Party and the Dems. The same way the Republicans went crazy to the right and pulled the Republican Party and the national discourse with them. Sarah Palin is the only way we got to Trump. We need to do the exact same thing for the Democrats. But we have to get that 30% of people that have dropped out of politics to become re-engaged, to become reignited, to be excited again. And I think the way that we make people re-engaged, reignited, and excited, not just for the corporate Democrat Party, it is to build this alternative system that people can see that, oh shit, a car is way better than a horse. I just didn't understand it before because I didn't understand how a car operated. Right now, all that corporations are middlemen between what we produce and what we need. There are people in your area that are making food. There are people in your area that want to buy that food. All the corporations do is connect the people that is making that food with the people buying that food. Same goes for your doctors and your healthcare providers. There are people in your area that want to provide you affordable healthcare at a quality price. But it's only, and you want to buy that, but it's the corporations that have stuck themselves in the middle. Well, that corporation wasn't always there to stick themselves in the middle between you and your food, between you and your healthcare. So what we're saying is, let's go back to the way things were before the corporation was in charge. Because what it was is that we just didn't have the internet before. So it was harder to stay connected. It's almost going to be easier to do it. Jammerific, always good having you. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm so bad. I'm so bad. I don't work in the normal fashion. I'm my daughter's caregiver, so I work from home, and I don't have to go out and pretend every day. And I've had to go out for the last couple of days and go to like appointments and to my daughter's high school today and stuff. And I'm watching everybody just like act like nothing. Like it's so like sickening to my stomach. I don't. Anyways, that's not why I'm here. Uh, yeah, money. I'm in a fortunate position where I was able to be aligned with an agency to let me work for being my daughter's caregiver. She's an adult, and so having that, and I have that situation tax free because of the Family Care Act, and so changing my situation from poverty to more lavish